And now we're live. Gonna give a couple seconds for people to realize that's happening, and we'll go from there.
And we're live. Hello, everybody. This is the podcast.
We're dropping frames.
What?
My connection's horrible.
Oh.
So you only got a couple other words. I'm still dropping frames. Last stop. Wow.
And we're live, everybody.
Why is the connection so bad? What?
Hey, everybody. This is the podcast for Dragon Ball Super, the new series. Later after this, we're going to do the next episode of Dragon Prince and the new series for season 12 of My Hero Academia. So I hope everybody's strapped in, lock-loaded, and ready to fire, because we're going to show you some incredible stuff from our time traveling expedition into Guam, Syria, and the 31st century. Jeremy, I'll let you kick off with the podcast stats for the 31st century, and then we can go back to the present, and you can tell me about your grandma Nana and how she's doing. Hit it off, Jeremy.
Why is it that it's telling me that I'm dropping frames and the connection seems stable?
Jeremy, you're a bad podcast teammate.
I don't know what's happening. Wow, that just dropped 1,000 plus. This has happened before, but it's never happened during a podcast when there's nothing going on the screen right now. Are you kidding me? It's gonna wait a little bit long because people have complained to me about us starting before they show up. None of that's going to be true, by the way. We're just going to be reviewing episodes 39 and 40 of the Shaman King anime that we're kind of behind on again, but we work with it.
You said behind.
Hey, John, why are you like this?
Because it's funny.
I can tell you're having fun.
You don't think that's funny?
Oh, there goes the buffering. I was waiting for it. Hey, Red Avenger. Well, it's gonna wait a little bit longer, and then I guess we'll start with the shenanigans. If you can hear me.
Avengers! Assemble!
I'm good, and I guess this is how are you doing, Chuck? Because he's asking how we're doing.
Who's asking how we're doing?
The viewer in the chat.
We have a viewer? Like a real living viewer?
Apparently two. One of them is Steve.
Hi, Steve. What did Steve say?
He's using my emotes. So he hasn't said anything.
Yeah, but what did he say?
He hasn't said anything.
Did you tell him about the part where I said hi?
He can hear you.
Hi, Steve.
Actually, I'm surprised Steve's awake.
What did he say that time?
Nothing. I'm surprised he's awake right now.
What's he saying?
Nothing. The only thing he's done at this point.
But I just said hi to him
emotes.
Like twice. I just said hi to Steve twice. He's got to be saying something.
Go to the live stream. But I'm telling you, the only thing he's done right now is use the emotes. Oh, and now he says something. Hello, voice with which I am acquainted with, but haven't spoken in a long time.
I just went to DigiDude's live stream and I don't see anything.
Why'd you go to DigiCloud? Really?
It's not letting me into my own Twitch because I haven't logged in. So hang on, 930423. I'm not supposed to share that with anybody. It'll never be useful again. Digi's live stream is not up.
I did think Digi was live.
He's not.
I said go to my live stream. You want to see?
You have a live
I'm
stream?
seeing you talking, Steve, and I was telling him you said what you said, but he's being a.
I'm
Oh
being
hey,
a what?
XLG. I apparently he's here too. I guess we can start the podcast now because apparently there's like a few people already here. So hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the Anime4ALL podcast. It's been I think 5 days now since I've done this because life happened and I still got to sort through life, but taking a break from that right now.
It's
As
been
we're,
too long. That's what she never said.
you know what, Jock? Really, Jock?
Really?
His name. The episodes 39 and 40 of the Shaman King of anime, and I guess before we do that,
Are we doing the podcast now?
we've been doing the podcast. You just been a jerk.
Oh. I started the podcast like 2 o'clock today, writing my notes and stuff.
Yeah, you have a lot of notes I've noticed.
I have a lot of notes. You noticed?
You gave me access to the podcast notes. Unless those are a lie.
Yeah.
They're a lie.
It's like the axis of evil.
Okay, of all the things, we got like 12 plays. So I guess there were 12 times people have turned the podcast on. Mostly in Germany, though. Second highest is in the United States. And apparently all of them are female. In the 28 to 34 age range. Wait, what? I'm very confused. Hello women that I don't know. I'm single. That just scared away all of
Code
my.
Vein?
Huh?
You quit Code Vein?
Wait, what?
Why did you quit Code Vein?
What is your post think about you quitting COVID?
Jeremy, why did you quit Code Vein?
The DLC was ridiculous. I don't do well in Dark Souls games. That's what that was.
You had no right to quit Code Vein.
I had all the rights. I beat the main story. That was all that was there to accomplish now. I already told Steve, unless he buys or someone gets a hold of Dark Souls Remastered and beats the final boss, I will not be beating one boss of that DLC. That game has been uninstalled officially. What
This
does
is not.
it say about us.
Do you want to lose
that we have
viewers?
nothing to
Because
do
this is.
except attempt to derail your podcast on a Saturday night. You're jerks. Every single one of you.
This is how you lose viewers, Jeremy.
I mean, I've already lost most of them.
Yeah, but this is how you lose them. If you want to lose viewers, what you have to do is stop doing things.
You're probably
like...
gonna try to get that game, and I'm gonna regret every single. I just lost 2 viewers. Thank you, John.
You lost how many viewers just now?
2. I was at 5. Now I'm at 3.
This is my fault.
We're gonna move on.
So what you're saying is you can quit all of the games mid-game that you want, and if
no, that
if
when
you
I
quit
was
them-
I already beat the main game. The only thing I quit on was the DLC.
I'm just saying that I trust Steve, and Steve says that you quit.
Yeah, I quit because it was DLC. I was attempting to beat the DLC, but that I
Are
couldn't do
we
it.
going to talk about
I was
Shaman
about
King at
to.
some
You
point?
were derailing everything. You and everybody in chat.
No, Steve. This is Steve's fault.
Okay, with that, yeah, this topic at hand, we're gonna talk about episode 30. Wait, what? He hyped us up on it. He said he was gonna get them both bosses in DLC, and then he let us listen here. I couldn't even deal with the bosses. There were too many enemies that were killing me in one shot. Is that my fault for not being high level? Yeah, probably, but I'm not doing it. Still not doing it. The game is uninstalled. Okay, hello?
I'm still here. Are you here?
My connection is dropping to Discord. Of course, it's happening on Saturday night. Man, Discord really hates me. Okay, with that being said, let's continue. Episode 39 of Shaman King. The summary out here, well, it's called the summit. Yo and Lyserg defeat Lucre. With Uchist. I guess it's a Luchist. During when they learned Marco and Luchist passed together, the nature of the archangels as
What are
developed.
you trying to read?
Reading the summary up here for
Luchist?
Luchist, I think is how we
Luchist. Yeah.
archangels who developed spirits that that Jean is not a holy maiden, but an ordinary girl with god class shamanic powers. Later in the finals in the Shaman fight, Ren's team must defeat Moyu from Ganhara faction to advance. I guess we're gonna go off in the whole. I'm pretty sure this episode you were upset with Marco and hoping that the fight would end. Which I like the point of that fight didn't last long.
Oh.
Hello.
I just find I'm surprised by how often Yo, who's supposed to be this like legendary character, is the little fish in the equation. Like they constantly are selling him as like the insignificant character. Like he's sitting there like being the rider and like watching everything go on. So once again we see Yo kind of like awed by other people's power and like not even like the second or third best, and like that's so atypical of an anime to see a character just kind of like sitting there like along for the ride where much more powerful characters are kind of like rocking the house, you know what I mean? And like there's been very few times, if any, that I mean even with his fiance, like I don't think he's the most powerful, is he?
What was the question?
When's the last time Yo has been the most powerful at all under any circumstances?
I don't think never.
Exactly.
He's always been
to have, I mean,
he's always been training to get stronger, and the power leaps that he takes is usually vast. He was stronger than Ren during his fight with Ren. I'm guessing if you're gonna count that one, but that was the first fight. No, that was the second fight he had in the official tournament.
Are you talking about Vegeta?
No, Ren.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
He was stronger than Ren during that second fight in the tournament, but other than that, he hasn't been stronger than anybody since. I mean, Hao is already the strongest, and he keeps on reiterating that Hao is gonna win this fight. I guess we'll get to that point in a few.
But he's not as strong as his dad. He's not as strong as any of the shaman leaders. He's not as strong as Marco. He's not as strong as Lucifer. He's not as. I mean, is he even as strong as like Lyserg right now?
I figured he's stronger than Lyserg. I'm guessing. I don't know.
If Lyserg came out with his angel, would he be as strong as Lyserg right now? If we're being honest.
Well, I don't know on what power level his angel is at, considering that they don't really give much Furyoku count on Lyserg. If we're basing power levels off of like the Furyoku level, I don't know what Lyserg's Furyoku is right now. I don't think they even give that number out. I don't think they ever gave that number out.
Though, but it's debatable, isn't it? Like, I mean, Lyserg could debatably be not as powerful as Ren right now. You know what I mean? I mean, as Yo right now. There's like, there's very few characters I feel like Yo is hands down more powerful. Like, is he more powerful than even like Chocolove right now, or Horo Horo by the end of the
Well,
second episode we
I mean,
watched?
no. He makes the statement that he's got to go and train because
We're
they
pretty
got.
sure that after episode by the end of episode 40, he's probably not stronger than Ren, Chocolove, or Horo Horo because Ren says that Chocolove's stronger than him, and Yo watches the episode and probably concludes that Ren's stronger than him and like rushes off to go training because he's motivated by the fact that Ren's kind of ahead of him. And then they both realize that Horo Horo is probably stronger than him too. So he's not stronger than those three. He's debatably not stronger than his own wife. You know, his own. He's not stronger than Marco. He might not be stronger than Miss Maiden. He's not stronger than any of the adult characters we've seen or any of the shaman leaders. Like, there's very like Yo is like pretty low on the totem pole. Like, no pun intended, because of the mythology in this series. But like, I would put Yo at the bottom, like 30 percentile of the groups that he's seen so far.
Well, I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't have a god class. Amidamaro isn't a god class spirit, which honestly, I'm actually kind of curious if Amidamaro can ascend to that level because he keep bringing up how long he's been alive.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
I don't
possible.
disagree with you at all, but it's just like very surprising that like
I
how
don't know. I
far
mean,
they
like I said
allow.
before, I'm basing power level off of Furyoku. I mean, right now we don't know how much. I guess by the way he reacted to Ren's group, with the reaction he gave, you can assume that he's definitely weaker than Ren, because he got concerned and he ran off the train. That, and also he didn't want to have to go through Anna's training again. Um, we don't know what Anna's like Furyoku level is either, though, based on the fact that she was able to tame the spirits that attacked her on Hao's command. It's got to be enough to be able to tame them, which in theory should be more than what Yo's got. So yes, I guess that using logic, she's stronger than he is. Um, yeah, I mean honestly, he's the main character. He'll leap back into power at some point. I suspect, considering he nearly died earlier, he must have gained a boost at some point. He's more concerned about making new Oversouls because Ren, Chocolove, and Horror have new Oversouls now. So
He's not even more powerful than Opacho.
well, Pasha is supposed to be the weakest of house group anyway, but I don't really.
Yeah, I think Opacho could own him. If we're being honest.
I mean,
Like, name
Yo's going to be
four.
training to get stronger. I mean, he's the main character. He's power level is going to close that gap. It's not going to close the gap between him and Hao though.
We're 40 episodes in, Jeremy.
So it's gonna happen. He's the main freaking character, unless that role has shifted to somebody I didn't see.
In fact, daughter time, she's needing some dad intervention. Episode 39, hope I'm back to say words. Okay, I was just checking to see what 6 said. Yeah, I mean, I believe that he's going to be in, but it's looking a lot more like team effort, and Ren like turning his like enemies into his friends is like a big piece of his power more than I'm sorry, Yo turning his enemies into his friends seems like it's a bigger part of his role in the story than simply taking over like as the most powerful character.
I'm certain that he will, though. I mean, he's not gonna win the tournament. He's already flat out said that. In fact, it pisses everybody off so much that wondering why. But I guess before we get to that point, go back to the Lucas and Marco fight real quick. We're gonna talk about this real quick and end it. Those two go at it. Both of them happen to be in a stalemate. We only find out that Lucas is holding back some of his mana because he needs to be able to attack the maiden. With the scuffle, like Yo intervenes, tries to prevent a death happening in the middle of a fight. Lucas ends up defeating Marco, and right before he kills Marco, Yo gets involved, and we learn about essentially what Jean, the maiden, is all about. She was a young girl who, at the time in Italy, I'm guessing that's where Marco and everybody in that group is from. Uh, we learn that she was just a very spirit sensitive girl who just had enough Ryoko to tame a really powerful spirit. Um, Apparently, Jean didn't know
Why
this,
do you
and
think? Why do you think Lucius? They never really cover this, but why does Lucius want to kill the maiden?
I think he says something to do with how because he's concerned that she might. I think he brings up that she's a threat. I think he actually says that in his mind. I think. I think he thinks he deems her a threat.
But she's not a threat. How is she a threat to someone with 2.5 million mana?
It's 2.5 million mana, but still, I mean,
All right, well, 1.5 still. Like, she's not a threat to somebody that big, is she?
maybe. I mean, they keep bringing up that she's been putting herself through like training to nearly kill herself, and according to them, every time that happens, your mana just boosts. Who knows how much mana she's got? They've only ever like I don't think they ever said how much mana she's got. She's also she's got a she's also got a spirit deity on her side. I think she's the only one of that group in Exiles that actually owns a god class spirit.
Really?
I think. I mean, I know you're about to say like the angels, but like I don't think that the angels are considered god class. I don't know what class of spirit they are. I don't think this even
Don't you
stated.
think it would be more to Ren's advantage to get that god class spirit involved than to like get rid of it though?
Ren.
Ren has
Who?
something that eats those spirit. I'm sorry, not Ren. How? How has something that eats god class spirits. Like if I was How, I would want to be on the front lines, like confronting that god class spirit, so that I could have my spirit eat it, literally.
Let's go back to the episode real quick and let's see. I think he says something. I think it has something to the fact that he's nervous about her coming into contact with How.
Like, is Lucius even like an enemy? But he's trying to shatter Yo's spirit sword, which seems like it would be a good thing for that giant spirit to eat, right?
He's the enemy because he's a follower of How, and that immediately makes you an enemy because you're following How.
Yeah, I mean that's a really simplistic thing to think, but yeah, but I mean like,
I mean, it's the
well,
only
he's
way
got
to
to be an
think
enemy.
because
He's a
How is
follower
an
of Hal. I
evil guy.
get what you're
Why would
saying,
you?
but
Why would you follow How if you're not going to be the enemy of everybody else?
is he? I get what you're saying. He's a follower of Hal, therefore he's evil. But like, the first thing he does as a follower of Hal is like go off and have dinner with him. He doesn't seem like he's that much a follower of Hal if you really think about it.
Do you think How's that concerned? I mean, being legitimately honest, like thinking about this simplistically, regardless of whatever Luke Chris is doing, do you think How's all that concerned? Because if he was, what you're saying is true. He would go after her immediately. He wouldn't let her. He wouldn't let her sit there. All Luke Chris is doing things that's going very well. How has been doing that ever since he got involved. He's been letting everybody have their way. How has been absolutely unconcerned. He's probably the most like neutral villain I have ever seen. By neutral, I mean he just hasn't been doing anything. He doesn't seem all that concerned, and I probably part of that is because Yo is the same way, but Yo is literally actually trying to stop him. Yo is actually trying to get in his way, but How hasn't been doing anything. How has been seriously unconcerned about anything. I think Lucas even brings the fact that like somebody somebody that's altercation he's fighting is like not that big of a concern, but he's concerned.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm trying to go back to the episode real quick and see. Maybe he's just trying to kill her because he wants to kill her. I have no idea.
I don't think he has a big reason to be. I get what you're saying. I don't think he has that much of a reason to be concerned, which is my thought about it.
Yeah, but as a follower, you be trying to make sure that your whoever you're a part of a team, you want to make sure that your leader can win. Even if
It's
the
just
leader
when you
doesn't, even
have
if the leader doesn't think, even if the leader doesn't think there's a threat, you as a follower probably will still see it as a threat.
a spirit that eats other spirits,
Yeah,
and
but
you know
this isn't.
somebody has a god tier spirit, like
Do you think Hal sent him out there? I think
you
he's
wanted
acting.
to
I
eat
think he's acting on his
those.
own free will.
Yeah, it just seems like it's not very helpful.
He's trying to do all he can as far as he. Actually, now I think about it, I guess we can talk about this. One of the big reasons why. Wait, what? Oh, that's XLJ just saying he's here for the music. Um, I think actually here's the reasoning. Actually, one of the main things that Yo brings up is that Hao is going to win the fight. He is going to become the Shaman King. They bring up that Hao needs to go into the spirit in sleep. Apparently, you have to die when you're merging with the spirit, or whatever, metaphorically speaking. And he's gonna be vulnerable. He may have his team there to make sure that his body doesn't get hurt, but that's no guarantee. And Miss Maiden is apparently, I think Miss Maiden is powerful enough that she may cause some damage. 'Cause that's all that Yo's banking on is to attack him while his back is turned.
Well, maybe she could be. Here's a realistic idea, especially because we know that he knew about this already. He could be concerned that Miss Maiden would be one of the people that was instrumental in attacking him when he's down.
I think that's what I just said.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't even think about that until just now. So when he has that scene where he's like down for the count, then obviously you're right. Okay, so that would be exactly it. So he's. I would think that the best thing for how to do would just be to go after her like right now and take her out before like and just have a spirit eat her and become more powerful. But
But here's
for
the
some
thing
reason,
with that. I mean, yeah, it's a smart idea. It's a smart plan. It's how war chiefs you work, but Hao doesn't seem all that
mhm,
concerned. Even Lucas brings the fact that Hao has been aware of this for a while now that he's going to be vulnerable. He doesn't seem all that concerned
yeah,
still. So Hao probably has some backup plan that we're not privy to, whatever that is.
right.
Um, he also could be he also knows something else that we don't know. I mean, he's been reincarnating himself over and over again. In the last reincarnation, he had been gathering a team together for the fight because he has several factions of his group working together. So I mean, yeah, like I mean, that's kind of the point. Is like Eucharist says, he's saying things that don't make a lot of sense. Um, like I said,
Mhm.
If Hal was all that concerned, and maybe Hal doesn't need to eat every spirit because he's been really picky about who his spirit eats. Because you think if he really wanted to, he would have gone after Ganhara and ate other spirits, but he didn't.
Mhm.
Considering how powerful they are, I mean, it's surprising that he hasn't gone after them. So he's probably picking and choosing who his spirit wants to eat, whatever that is. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, there's not really much to have in that fight. Marco and Lucas go at it. Lucas beats Marco, and then but then Lucas loses to Yo with the help of Lasser, making an oversoul of Miss Maiden. Um, also, I keep on forgetting. Apparently, oversouls don't cast shadows, so like that was also interesting. But I guess also on top of that, he manages to somehow control the real spirit of the maiden to help Yo get out of the way, which is also really surprising. We also learned that I guess after all this is taken care of, we learned that apparently the angels are inhabited cars, actual spirits. We also learned that apparently
Yeah,
Marco
it's
is
so
like,
silly,
I know it's
isn't it?
throwaway. It's throwaway, but I mean, he apparently was the president of a car dealership in Italy, and how, for reasons unknown by the way, went to them and destroyed his living. Again, we are learning small things about certain characters that honestly we kind of too late in the story to really care about, but I guess it's interesting to know where he's been getting all this money, because it was also really weird that that all this was he had all this stocked away. Um, Apparently he had been deceiving a lot of the people who was working for X-Laws. We found out that later on. We also found that even though Miss Maiden is aware that she's just a normal girl, she doesn't care and she still wants to do what she's been doing, which is, I guess, do good things and do good work. And apparently the people who are still alive are still gonna follow her, um, even in the wake of all this. Yo, again, has managed to make friends out of the X-Laws. But attesting to your whole that Yo's greatest power is his ability to turn enemies into friends.
Yeah. Can we talk about the car for a minute?
We talked about the car. There's nothing really to talk about.
There's a lot more to say about the car.
Okay, you go ahead. I'm listening.
So things hitting 100 years old is a big deal in this show. Like, remember when the spirits hit 100 years old, and they said that they were much more powerful at that age once they hit 100? Do you remember that kind of like passing comment they made about that? So it turns out that Tsukumogami, what they call that car, is actually a whole mythological thing with hang on, I'm turning up my sound a little bit. Tsukumogami is a whole thing in mythology, and what it basically is that there's this belief that when something hits 100 years old, it becomes self-aware, and it's a Japanese belief that like if you have something, it's declined in recent generations and things like that, but it's believed that like after something has reached its 100th birthday, it becomes alive and self-aware, and that it like a spirit enters it, and it's now like it has a soul and like it can do things, and like they've taken this to the extent that like when something is alive for like nearly 100 years, like a container or a tool or something like that, they'll throw it away before like it actually becomes alive, so that like it doesn't become basically haunted. So that's a big, long, like standing belief for them, and so the idea of like, and it becomes a long thing in Japanese folklore and stuff like that, that like ancient things become alive. So the car is considered alive in that sense, and actually Tsukumogami actually means, it translates to something like the tool, it was tool kami, which means like, you know, a tool god, like a tool spirit. But there's also something in the translation that means 99 or something like that too. But yeah, so it's like a really, really old belief, and it doesn't need to be like taken literally anymore, but like it is deeply, deeply woven into folklore and stuff like that as far back as the 10th century. So I thought it was really it was sort of like a weird thing to have them like say it about like what basically looked like a Lamborghini or something, or Ferrari or something, because like I started looking into like the stats. They start getting into the stats about this thing. First of all, they developed this car probably because it's Super Marco Limited, and it's got a dual overhead camshaft engine, which is the DOHC engine that they're referencing, and it goes 315 kilometers an hour, which is actually 195.73 miles an hour. So like it's going almost 200 miles an hour, which if you've ever seen Fast and the Furious, like a 200 mile an hour car, you know, I think when they say 315 miles an hour, they're basically saying it can, like our equivalent of a 200 mile an hour car. So that's kind of like really interesting to me, and I'm guessing that like somehow like his shamanism is like translated into this, where he's put his like beliefs, like his shamanist skill, has gone into the Super Mario Limited to make it like that. But another thing that I thought was really cool about this is, like, I didn't realize this until I looked into this a little bit. But when they're in their spirit form and they're attacking, they actually do sort of look like the car that they transform back into when it reverts back to its natural state. So next time you take a look at it in its spirit form, like, look for that, because it's actually super cool that it almost looks like a transformer. I always noticed that it looked like techno and like robotic and stuff like that, but it never occurred to me until I was starting to look into this a little bit that it actually does kind of look like a car when it's in its spirit form. I just thought it was like a mecha or, you know, some sort of generic thing. So anyway, I thought that was really cool that, like, that name isn't just something they made up. Like, it's actually deep into, like, Japanese mythology.
I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I did see that, but I completely forgot about that. So I'm glad you actually into that because I completely forgot about that word. I saw that word. That, ugh. um, I guess among that, it's there's not much that too much happens here. I mean, Marco admits that he's defeated. He says that you can do whatever you want. Yo, points a gun to his head, and this is probably the darkest the show's gotten since the deaths earlier on in the series. They're talking about
Well, I
suicide, but
mean,
then
Marco's always 10 out of 10 over dramatic about everything in his life.
again,
Have
I
you
like
ever
to
seen
point out
Marco,
too
like, mad with that?
the what he's doing actually. As I've said before, the Japanese don't look at death the same way that other societies do. There's a reason why there's a suicide hotel in a forest. But here he's gonna shoot himself in the head, and the maiden is really who stops him from killing himself. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I don't even want to talk about his serious attire because it still makes me uncomfortable. Ugh. Uh, we come back later. We bring up the fact that Yo's eating dinner with his enemies again, and Anna brings up kind of something kind of funny that I kind of find cute. Is the fact that every time that Yo comes back from a fight, he's always somehow eating with the enemy, and
Mhm.
she's really upset about this. And she has this like really cute upset face on hers. Like it's actually kind of funny. It's like wow, again Anna showing some emotion that we didn't know she had, because she looks serious most of the time anyway. Um, at the dinner table though, this is where how Yo explains what's going on, what the deal is. He's back in the fight, but he brings up the fact that How's gonna win this fight. He wants to reiterate this, and this upsets everybody. Ren says, "What are we doing here then? If he's gonna win the fight?" Yo brings up what he actually been meaning to tell them, and I think he meant to tell this to them earlier on. But I think he meant to tell them before he had dropped that tournament originally, because he said he has something really important to say there. But he never got around to saying it. So I guess this is what he was trying to tell them before he had dropped that tournament originally. How was gonna win the fight, but they're planning to attack him as he's transitioning to this to the statehood of Shaman King. Apparently, entering this great spirit, which apparently not so many can do. They tell this to us very late, but only so many people can actually enter the spirit, great spirit, and apparently Hal's one of them. Um, they have to go into a state, a meditative sleep state, and they're vulnerable at this point. Apparently, they're gonna try to kill him when he's transitioning to Spirit King, well, Shaman King. Uh, you know,
It
this
turns
seems,
out that's easier said than done too, though.
yeah, I know. I was gonna say, we found out apparently, and this is why Silva's been acting strange, and I'm so glad that they finally talk about this. Because I've been very concerned about what's going on with Silva, and it so explains the intro where you see what it looks like to be Yo fighting Silva. Um, all this kind of came to me as we were talking to it. I believe this is my own headcanon, but I believe that I think Silva's going to be the one at the to closest to Hao. Uh, I believe that Yo is going to be fighting Silva because Silva has to protect him because that's the point of the Patch Tribe. They're supposed to protect the Spirit King. So that explains everything going on there with why Silva seems to be acting strange. Uh, I'm glad
Mhm.
they actually mentioned it without really talking about it, but it's kind of cool that They have to defeat all 10 of the patch tribe to get to him though, which is going to be interesting because I think the patch are really strong. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And they got to get
The
through
patch
Howl's
are
minions.
adults too, and like they've made it so clear in this that the adults are like a whole extra level above anything they could be doing. So like I don't know what they expect to do against like adults of this type, you know? It doesn't make sense to me that they would even be expected to compete against adults of this type because like the adults are a whole new like stage of this.
But I don't think
That's my
anybody's actually
understanding.
tried to attack the Spirit King before. So, I mean, I don't. This is probably not to be expected because no one's. Like, I mean, they are aware that How is dangerous, but I think How is probably the only contestant that has ever happened in the last 500 years that someone's going to probably try attacking them. Um, yeah, I get you, man. It seems kind of interesting. I mean, also they got to deal with Howl's minions too. Uh, and some of them have already been shown to be on a higher plane of power already, just by being in Hal's presence. Uh, but yeah, that's the plan. Apparently, Yo's gonna attack Hal while he's sleeping. Apparently, this is also not underhanded because Lucius is there to inform him, but Hal was already aware of this situation, which is probably why he wanted Yo to join him as his other half. So, I mean, we'll see how that pans out after the tournament's over. So, speaking of tournament, we come back to the round two of all the fights happening on the island. The first fight is between Team Ren versus Vijayaraja, or Wisdom King translated. Um,
Raja?
Vijayaraja. Here type
It
of
sounds dirty, doesn't it?
I guess
Like
I
if a
mean,
guy was gonna walk up to you and be like, "Hey, did you see that girl?" and the guy's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Did you Raja?" and he goes, "That's a rather personal question, don't you think?"
you gotta turn everything into a joke already. Okay,
No.
a type of wrathful deity in Eastern Asian Buddhism. I kept on seeing India as where a lot of these spirits are gonna come from. This is what I can tell. At least the first group. One of them looked Indian to me. The country, not the
It's
Native
a
American
whole
tribe.
thing. Like there's like several different categories of these. The Wisdom Kings, there's a set of 5, there's a set of 8, and there's a set of 10. And I didn't know exactly what to make out of that at the time, and it was strange to me because I was trying to figure out if these guys are supposed to represent 5, 8, or 10 because there's only 3 of them. And what I thought was interesting at first was that one of them represented love, and one of the 5 represents love too. And I didn't know if maybe that was like a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like if that was like what they were kind of going at. Um, but the only connection I could find that makes that like a thing whatsoever is that one of the guys represents love, and then there was um, Horo was going to be represented, like was going to be kind of taken on as one of the 5 something, and we were never really told what. So I didn't know if like Horo was going to become like one of the 5 and like be like a counter to the Wisdom Kings, since he
I mean,
was
we'll
able to
talk
take
about
3
that
out at the same
in the
time.
next episode because that's when a lot of that becomes important.
Yeah, but
Kind of want to
that
separate
was my
that.
best guess, was that like he was one of the 5 Wisdom Kings here, and that's the only thing I could think of, was that like maybe because one of them seemed vaguely connected to love, that might be one of the things. But that's all I could get out of that. Like I really, really wanted to come up with some sort of theory related to it, but that was the best I could. That one of them seemed to be connected to like love somehow.
Also, I guess something interesting here is that we're now dealing with shamans who have god class spirits. The only ones who don't have any is the group that came up there with Yo. So Yo, Ryu, Faust, Rin, Horo Horo. Actually, no, because horror. I'm trying to remember sure. Because horror mentioned that something about his spirit was special, and that was one of the first things he brought up when Yo first met him. Um, that she was on a higher plane of existence than Anime4ALL was at the time, but I forgot what she was. Maybe she was a fairy. I had no idea. But he brought up that his spirit wasn't really not normal. I forgot what it was though. Um, we have here Vijayaraja, as their name suggests, are originally conceived of as the guardians and personifications of esoteric wisdom, Vija. I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong because it's probably got some Indian influence that I'm not able to speak. Uh, namely mantras and haranis. They were seen as embodying the mystic power contained in these sacred utterances, believed to assume terrifying forms as a means to save sentient beings out of compassion for them. The guy who actually fights Ren, um, his spirit reminded me, and I don't know, you've seen these images of some like god whose front hands were like in front of him in a certain symbol, but then he had like six or eight of the, extra hands in the back of him, and they were kind of like in the shape of almost like a sun, and apparently he was golden too, but I forgot the name of him. It's like a Buddha or something like that, but I forgot what it was. I've seen that a lot in Japanese anime too. It's like for whatever reason that seems to be one of the images that is plastered all over the place.
Is what? I'm sorry, I was trying to find the connection to the love thing.
I'm saying like the guy that Ren was fighting, his spirit, like it was a comic class spirit, but I always seen like type of spirit someplace else before where like it has multiple hands and stuff like that. And like I
Yeah,
guess the way
all of the Wisdom Kings, like almost all of the spirits there, have multiple arms. It's like the almost every single like symbol of the Wisdom King has like multiple arms. It's impossible to have like a Wisdom King without them having multiple arms. Almost every single one of them had it.
see
If you look at the Wikipedia link of the Wisdom Kings, I think there's like one that doesn't have multiple arms, and all the other ones do. Akala, the very first one, I think is the only one without multiple arms. If you scroll down to the five Wisdom Kings, which again builds my theory that it's the five Wisdom Kings that are the ones we're going with, because they most closely embody what I'm talking about. In fact, is it possible that they have sets of arms representing their number of in the hierarchy? It might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many arms did he have? Because I see one with one set, one with no, it doesn't work. I see one with one set of arms, and all the others have 3 sets of arms, so that doesn't work in the image. So there's just one that has a normal set of arms, and the others all have 3. But it does lean towards the 5 Wisdom Kings being connected to this again, and not the 8 or the 10. I really think that's the direction they're leaning towards, because again, spoiler alert for the episode we're going to talk about in a minute, they're collecting 5 of something, and it seems like it's connected.
I'm guessing Ren's gonna be one of the Wisdom Kings then. I would suspect, and I'm pretty sure Yo's gonna be one of them too. At least those two, I'm pretty sure are guaranteed. But I guess we'll get that in a minute. Here, Yanagi and his spirit Kundali, no obvious significance. Kundali is described as a sleeping, dormant potential force of human organism. Oh, okay. One of the components of an esoteric description of the subtle body. Energy channels, chakras. Everybody's got chakras. Air, that little air avatar for you.
Chakra, chakra. Oh no, my chakras. Sorry. Instead of my cabbages.
I remember hearing that the cabbage guy was like a last minute thing. I think they did. It wasn't like something they were intending to do. It just caught on so much. 'Cause the cabbage guy actually
I
came
love
back
the cabbage guy.
in Legend of Korra. Well, his son did, grandson, I think. I guess that was the end of that episode because we see Ren.
When you were talking about, go ahead.
I guess that's the end of the episode 40 because like we see Ren confronting because Ren wants to fight one of the guys by himself. He tells Horo and Chocolo to stand down and watch what I do and come in once I'm finished what I'm doing. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say before we end out the episode, I thought it was interesting that Kandali guy that you were talking about, the spirit ally with the 6 arms. He is actually Yanage or whatever. I couldn't find any significance to him, but Kandali is actually the esoteric description of the subtle body. Did we just talk about that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was reading what you had typed down here.
Okay, but that is the name of the chakras. Okay, so we did. I'm sorry, I am like out of my mind. Do go on, sir.
Are you sure? You got anything else to say?
Yeah, I think I just had a small seizure.
Please don't.
Do you think that might be an accurate description of what just happened? A small seizure, maybe a large seizure even. I'm not sure.
Please don't have any more. For my sake.
A seizure procedure.
Episode of Shaman. Next episode of Shaman King we're talking about is episode 40, Humility.
Yes,
Ren's
sir.
team develops a new oversoul that can move it on its own. Oh, Ren's oversoul that I still don't 100% understand. To move on its own, forces Yo to escape the breath here to get stronger. We talked about that earlier, where Ren showed a more powerful oversoul after learning a little bit more about himself, which is actually a common theme here, is that everybody is learning more about themselves, about who they are. More specifically, Horo, as we'll get to later on this episode. Essentially, we come back to Ren fighting the Indian dude, and we learned about spirit neutralization. We also noticed another common theme with them too is that they don't like violence. They don't like getting involved. They don't like fighting, which is weird considering that they're in a tournament to fight. We also learned that apparently they're I forgot her name. Shoot. The woman that they that they surround themselves in with who they're worshiping. I forgot her name. The guy that the woman who I guess brought back Chocola. We found out that apparently she was involved in bringing him back. They did let us know that earlier, which is kind of shocking. We learned that here now that yes, she was the one that revived him.
You don't mean Iron Maiden, so you mean one of the other characters. I just
Yeah,
can't
from the
remember her name.
Ganhara. I forgot her name. It was the one that Ryu's in love with.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
No, I'm drawing a blank myself actually. Hold on. Good episode 40 this week. A lot easier. But yeah, I mean, apparently they're here because they want to stop. They want to like revitalize the world and make them like not
They
make
want
them
to revive the what?
well, not revive the world, but like revitalize everything so that everybody isn't like fighting because they don't like violence. They don't like they don't like evil and stuff like that. Like they're neither good nor evil. They bring that up here. They're only here for one purpose.
Who is?
Ganhara people. The group that
Hey,
the Wisdom
Jeremy,
King's a part of.
Jeremy, I'm gonna admit something. You have been so pixelated. One of the reasons I feel like maybe I don't feel like I understand fully what you're saying a little bit here and there is because your speakers have been pixelating and cutting in and out so much that it's been hard for me to fully understand you.
Yeah, I've been saying I'm having
It's
some
probably
internet
making for a
problems.
bad podcast too, so I think maybe I should let you know it's been the whole time. It's made me have a tough time understanding you, so I'm sure that people listening to the podcast are having a similar time.
Everything seems to be kind of okay because I'm listening to my own podcast happening.
If you say so, but it's definitely coming out poorly on my side.
I mean, we disconnect, reconnect. I don't know what's going on with my internet connection. 1 minute. Actually, we like let me quit Discord and open it back up again. Man, I dropped like nearly 32,000 frames. This is ridiculous. Actually, that's not even 1,000. That's like a no, it's 1,000. Never mind. Hello?
Hey,
Great, still dropping. Let me.
sorry about that. You should know.
No, it's fine. I've been having internet issues for a while, but tonight, it's like it happened tonight. Oh, great, there we go again, dropping. I don't know what to do. I mean, granted, I'm not like playing a video game because if I was playing a game, I would have quit a long time ago. Did you get any of that?
Yeah, I got all of it.
Okay, we're gonna. That much longer, so we'll continue. If hopefully things will improve. I've been having one of those like really weird days with the internet. Um, no, what I was, I forgot what I was saying. Crap. I guess we'll go back with the, everything, from the very beginning. Rin's in a fight with, whatever his name is. I forgot his name. Yagnagi? And we're seeing that Rin's, all his attacks are getting canceled out through, neutrality. Spirit energy neutrality. Which seems really ridiculously overpowered, I'm noticing. Rin cannot get any of his attacks through. But for whatever reason, I guess Yanagi can get his attacks through because he's not neutralizing his attacks. Like, I don't know how common spiritualization, spirit neutralization is, but
Jeremy, you're not any better, dude. Do you want to power through, or do you want to fight with it some more? Your sound quality is not any better.
it's not the sound quality; it's just the connection. There's nothing I can do about it.
Do you want to power through it then?
I've been powering through it all like, for the last hour.
Because I almost can't do it at all now. It's like worse.
server regions. Oh, I've been changing the region on the Discord to see if that helps. Everything US Central. Hello?
I'm still here. You know, I guess I can try on my side closing Discord, Twitch, and seeing if there's possibly any issue with bandwidth on my side, but I don't think so.
No, it's my side because I
So
can
I just
see on
closed Twitch
OBS
and
that I'm losing the connections in the yellow. But there's not much I can do on my
okay.
end because I don't think I had this
But I
problem
mean,
before.
I'm not. I was trying to follow you for a while, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't even understand what you were saying anymore. And that's like I said, I was trying to play along for a little bit, but it got to the point where I wasn't. I just honestly couldn't understand you anymore. So I'm sorry, but it got to the point where I couldn't follow what you were saying anymore, and I was sounding kind of stupid. I tried to make a joke out of it, so it was a seizure and stuff like that, but like I really can't understand you.
I wish I knew I had these issues like randomly because there is no pattern to it.
There's no pattern.
Yeah, I've had this problem every like randomly. And it chooses. I thought maybe it happened on Wednesdays. No, I thought it was happening on Tuesdays. Oh, there I go again.
Yeah, I don't know, sir.
I kind of want to, power through to finish this episode because we're almost done. But
It's well, we're not almost done. We're kind of at the beginning of this. I have like 2 whole pages of notes on this on this one. 3. I have 3 pages of notes on this episode, and we're at my second bullet point right now.
man, I don't
Do
know
you
what
want to do like
else.
one episode like in a week or something like that, or
I mean, no, I mean normally I don't
on
have this
Monday?
problem.
Do you want to do like one episode on?
Sorry. Wait.
I feel bad because it took us so long to get started.
So repeat that again. I will switch servers again.
What'd you say? I'm switching to text. Now I can hear you typing perfectly. It's so annoying.
I got like 2 bars, now I got 1 bar, and that probably makes me inaudible. It's funny because it seems to happen when I'm talking. Apparently somebody said he can, I mean, the stream is cutting out, but they can still understand me. But I guess if you can't, maybe there's no point in continuing. Do you hear me now? Oh, still hear me? Oh, really?
A little bit, Jeremy. I heard. Can you hear me now? It was a.
How about you? Hello.
Can you hear me? You dropping frames or anything? Give it a minute. A pretty little minute. Soupity doo bow wow. Jigow dow wow. The best podcast in the world. Scoobity doop boo zoop a dappa dow wow gow. Hello to everybody in Jeremy's podcast today that's still around and chatting. Shoobity doop boop boo ba dappa zow dow wow cow lao. Kal-El, Superman, hey, yeah. Hey, guys.
My connection's still fluctuating.
What? I don't want to get in the pool, Dad. That's where the sharks live. I know, I'm just being a jerk.
I don't want him to waste his notes. I guess that's the best to record. I'll just upload this, and the next one just be 3 episodes. I mean, I guess all I have to do is watch 2 more. I just don't really want to have to rewatch the 2 episodes again because I'm gonna forget everything.
It's fine now. Many people are saying this.
I'm just saying, I mean, XOG, one of the people here saying everything was fine. Like, he was fine for him, but if he couldn't understand me, then probably I got a problem.
I can hear you pretty perfectly right now. We could try it again if you want to start from here.
I mean, my connection's fluctuating. You probably couldn't even understand that.
I understood what you just said.
Do you want to call it quits for the night? Just do 3 episodes? I mean, I just, like I said, 4 for me. I guess what I'd rather do is just watch 2 more episodes. I just know I'm gonna forget this episode, and I kind of don't want to have to rewatch it again. But I will if I
Um,
have to.
we can do whatever you want, dude. I'm just trying to like. I don't want to be prima donna or overcomplicate things. I just telling you what I thought. Well, you can do it to me, boy.
I mean, if you can't understand me, there's really no point in having a dual commentary if you can't understand. And there I go, dropping. I don't know why this is happening, and it happened tonight. Of all the nights, you know what? I'll call it.
All right. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
It's not your fault. It's their internet. I don't know why I decided all nights to do it.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
not trying to be
upload
a
the.
problem or anything. Like,
I'll
I'll do it
upload
if you want to.
this. I'll upload this because I mean, according to them, they can understand everything was happening. It was just between you and me.
There's nothing for like 5 seconds, and then I heard.
Okay, I guess we're gonna call it here. I'll upload this to a YouTube channel. We'll come back on the 14th to talk about episode 40 along with 41 and 42. But we'll see.
I'll do whatever you want, but it'd be cool if we started catching up. So if we did 3, that'd be fantastic. But it's up to you. Do you want to do up to 42, and then we can do 39, 40, and